go.
Victoria wants you to know that she does not play the horns because she does not throw the horns.
I thought she was going to say, I don't play the horns because I'm a lady.
Craig wanted you to say, I don't play the horns because I'm a lady. She goes, no.
Ladies don't play the dirty bets.
Ladies don't play the dirty bets.
Casino trip, full of chips. Wanna flip, double it.
Welcome to the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you'll never lose, where the stakes are high, the takes are bold, and the conversations are always full of chips. With your hosts, Chris the Dice Degen and Craig from Old Bay Craps, you're tuned in to Full of Chips, the podcast where we dive into our experiences gambling and stories straight from the casino floor. Whether you're a seasoned pro at the craps table or just curious what the buzz is about, you're in the right place. Each week, we break down the games, talk to the experts, and bring you tips that could tilt the odds in your favor. So grab your lucky charm, stack your chips, and let's roll into today's episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 42 of the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you will never lose, with your hosts, Chris the Dice Degen and Craig from Old Bay Craps. Craig, how we doing today?
Blink and you'll donate. Blink and you'll donate.
There you
Today
go.
we're happy that we get to drink because we're with Degen, we're with the show, and it gives us a good reason to sip of the juice though. So yeah.
Well, since we're
Feeling
talking
good.
about the juice, man, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Bullet Bourbon and a little bit of Diet Coke.
There you go. There you go. I am on the train, not the bullet train though. I'm on the Angel Envy train today. Angel's Envy and Diet Coke in my Full of Chips glass, courtesy of Mr. Sweet Lou.
Thank you,
Craig, you know
Lou.
what's funny? You know, I edit the podcast, all that kind of stuff, right? And with the the recording software that we use and all that kind of stuff, it gives me a transcript of the episode, which is great because like I can go back and look for certain things, whatever it may be. But it always gets me, and I don't know why. I was editing something earlier today, and I'm looking at the transcript, and every time I say the intro and I say it's Chris the Dice Degen, you know what it says to me on the transcript every single time without fail?
What's that?
It says Chris the Dice DJ every time. I'm sitting here and I'm like, am I the Dice DJ?
Maybe you are, man.
Maybe. I don't know. I thought it was
All
funny.
right.
And like, I don't know what made me laugh today specifically because it happened. I'm telling you, it's happened on all 42 episodes. It's every time. But today I was looking at it for some reason and I just started like chuckling. I was like, this is funny.
You want to hear my one dad joke on that?
Hit me.
What did the DJ name his son?
What did the DJ name his song?
Eric.
So bad, but it's so funny. I don't know why. Oh my god. Well, for the folks at home, Craig, we have to introduce a new segment like dad joke of the episode or something now.
I only got two, so the other one's gonna have to wait.
The other one's gonna wait for a more appropriate time.
Yeah.
That's people are gonna come here. A little bit of craps advice, a little bit of blackjack advice, dad joke of the episode.
There you go.
I might have to if folks at home, let us know. If you want to hear more dad jokes, drop it down in the comments. Let us know. Maybe we'll start adding dad jokes into our episodes. But Craig, you know what is a joke? It's not a dad joke, but it's a joke. It's a joke. The amount of people who treat the center action on the craps table like it's an ATM. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. And I know we were talking about it before. I think we said it on the podcast before too. Like, I don't know if it's just an East Coast thing or what it is, but I swear every time I go to the casino, like there's more bets in the middle of the table than there are on the box numbers. And I have a problem with that.
Well, they treat the prop section as if they're the only bets on the layout. It's like, hey guys, there's these box bets that pay out pretty good when you got your bets pressed up, and guess what? They don't it's not every roll. But while you guys are slowly bleeding in the prop section, and don't hit the stick, man. Stop throwing your chips away like it's party favors, because man, they think they're having a party, but they're not.
Yeah,
It's
people
just,
throw them away like fun coupons. Like I joke around sometimes. Oh yeah, money, fun coupons, whatever it may be. Which, if you want to look at it like fun coupons, I kind of do because we work hard, we play hard, right? So I'm gonna have fun with money, whatever it may be, whether it's gambling or going enjoying my evening doing something. But people really treat the prop section fun coupons and like lottery tickets. That's what they're looking for.
Well, it's the casino's loudest way of taking your money.
That's true. True.
And let's put a disclaimer up because DJ and I do play the prop section on purpose as part of our plan, but it's minimal action. It's not something that's happening all the time. Yeah, so just
Yeah, but the
put that out there. We're not, we love the come. If it's come out action, we are in the horn section any which way all day, every day.
yeah.
On the come
But
out
you
action.
made a
But
key point. Key point. It's part of the plan. There's a
correct.
reason behind the prop bets, right? It's not just like, hi, you know what? Let me throw a horn bet out there just because. Like now, I'm not gonna say it's the worst idea in the world. No, if somebody's throwing horns, no, it's not the worst idea in the world. But like, you got a guy throwing fives and sixes. You know what? It's like 62 degrees outside today. Feeling the yo. Huh?
That's another reason to be a meteorologist. You can be a meteorologist and the best craps player because you can figure out when's the right temperature of barometric pressure to put a horn bet out there.
There you go. I mean, could you imagine somebody comes in with like I think it's a barometer, right? What measures barometric pressure? I think. I
Yeah,
don't know.
right.
It's funny. I know a handful of things I remember a handful of things from school. Um, Pythagorean theorem. Shit, I can rattle that off in my sleep. Types of
PEMDAS
rocks.
all day.
Oh, PEMDAS, of course. Sedimentary rocks. Know that shit. I mean, for folks coming out of college, do you know how to pay a mortgage? Hell no. You know how to, interview for a job? What? But can I tell you, what causes a volcano to erupt? Or what caused that, tornado that spun up? Yeah, I can. Like, oh man, don't get me started on my qualms with the school system.
Well, you started talking about volcano. I thought you were talking about the horn section. Because it doesn't feel like just like a bet sometimes. It feels like it's the student who constantly wants to call on wants you to call on them. Like, oh, oh,
Me, me,
oh,
me,
oh,
me, 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 me,
play,
me,
play
me,
me,
me.
play me, play me. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it calls the players who want that chaos and drama and that high.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's what they're looking for. It sucks you right in. It's like a vacuum.
well, it's the slot machine of the felt. I mean, it's loud, it's flashy, and it's mathematically unforgiving.
Oh
You
yeah.
know.
And it's one of those things where, like on a slot machine, right? One spin you can turn, a couple bucks into a couple thousand. You're not gonna do that on a horn bet or a world bet or whatever it may be. The premise is the same, right? On a 2 or a 12, I mean, you turn $5 into 150, like virtually the same type of thing.
Well, why are they throwing money at it? Because they're bored. Some are superstitious, which are the ones that if you can watch them from like across the table and just stare at a player play the prop section, um, it's that fantasy of the one roll miracle that they're looking for. I told you when I first started playing craps, the very first time ever, I was at the Mirage, and I told you all about. I was just playing the 6 and 8, but there were two guys over in the horn section who played midnight on every single roll. And Chris has already stated you have to win the bet one time in 36 rolls just to break even.
Yep.
But they, I guess they had, like we said, if you're somebody who's there for a long time, you just have to have the long enough bankroll to withstand all the shit.
Yeah.
Because they were putting a quarter on the midnight every single roll. It was
Well, they
crazy.
bled that money quick. I mean, but when we were in Atlantic City for the last meetup, right? You were on the table during my roll. The guy to the left of me was betting a 617 on every single toss. Well, bud, I threw mid 30s, didn't throw a 6-1. I threw a couple sevens. I threw quite a few on the come out. I obviously sevened out at the end. They were all 4-2 or 4-2s. That's not a 7. That's a 6.
Yeah.
4-3s and 5-2s. I never threw a 6-1, but he was nickel every single time. Just from the 6-1. Never hopped any of the other 7. Just the 6-1. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what are you doing? And I know it's not a horn bet, but it's got a similar kind of mantra to it.
But here's part of it. I think there's this illusion that the yo out of all four horn numbers is the one that's going to hit most because it's the one tied to the pass line, which so many people play.
Yeah.
We all know that, and we just, we're either our next episode may get a little dark, if you will. But most people play light side when they're at the table. And part of that come out action on the pass line is a yo wins on the pass line. But I happen to think people think that number is like a magical number in the horn section. And it's like, but it is amazing because I'll see people play so many three-way bets, which is 2, 3, and 12. And they don't stop. even when the puck is on and they go inside, but they'll still keep playing every roll three-way. And I'm like, oh my God. Like it it's almost like and tell me if you think about this every occasionally that people who play both boxes and horn bets every roll are the same people that think the ATS is going to hit every single shooter.
That's a fact.
Fact.
That's a very, very true
It
mantra. And
feels like a fact.
I I mean, it's a fact in DGen's mind, so it's a fact. Like that's just how we roll here. But it's so true, and I think it's for the sole purpose that they literally win on every single number at the 7. Like they have every box covered, and then they cover the horn too. It's like I literally win on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like they can't lose, but you're sitting there and it's like, well, you can't lose, but you can lose. Yes, you can lose. And the problem for those people is a lot of the time that horn section or those prop bets bleed them. The box bets that hit barely cover that horn bet.
Yeah, I mean they're playing nickels, like
Yeah.
three-way nickel. Like okay,
With
that's
like
15. I
minimum
mean,
bets on the box.
granted, it's the same as putting a $15 field bet, but still, they're wanting that bigger payout, so they're splitting it up like that. But it still loses on a on a box bet on a box hit.
Yeah. It's that fast
Which
action. That's what they want.
it happens often. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, because a lot of them are playing on emotion anyway, and especially
Mhm.
people who are bleeding their bankroll already or are down. What do? They're like, I need one hit to get me back. I need one hit to get me back. So they start playing the horn section like it's the only bet on the layout, and it's not smart. To me, I mean, is there a smart time to play? Yeah. To me, come out action is a good time because for whatever reason, people tend to throw horns during the come out a lot. Oh, they also throw out a lot of sevens during the come out too, but they tend to throw horn numbers out a lot. And if you can catch a aces or midnight, yeah, it feels pretty fucking good to start your roll off with $150 in your rack before the puck even goes on. But here's the difference, folks. You're playing just the horn numbers when you used to be playing a field every bet, which is just as ridiculous. But at least in the field, yeah, you get the other three numbers, the 4, 9, and 10 along with it. But you don't get that in the horn section. Have you ever made a horn high yo bet, Chris, or any kind of horn high bet, and the dealer snickered or went like this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
like that's
Also,
a losing bet.
side note, because you brought it up, why is everybody at the horn high? Yo. Like, I swear 90% of horn high bets are horn high yo. You ever notice that? Like, you never, I don't want to say never, but you rarely hear somebody like, oh, horn high aces, horn high ace deuce, right? Like, yeah, some people play a horn high ace deuce, but like, you don't really see the, oh, horn high midnight, horn high aces. It's always, oh, horn high yo.
That they're always playing those straight up, aces straight, midnight straight, or
Yeah.
like I said, a three-way. But I mean, if you've played with me at the table, you know that I've done more horn high ace deuce bets than horn high yo. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because I tend to throw threes with my toss.
Yeah.
That's why I tend to bet that bet more than any other thing. But yeah, I mean, it's that phrase, I'll just toss $1 out there. Yeah. Well, when you look down at your rack and you've noticed you've thrown out 150 of those just $1 tosses. And
Yeah.
you're wondering, we've all been there early on in the experience, but there are people that constantly play the horn section. And when they start off with a $500-$600 buy-in, after a couple shooters, they look down and they're like, how the fuck do I only have 120 left in my buy-in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you threw to the stick so many times. That's when they have their hand out. They're expecting you to play it. Yes, are they egging you on to play it? Sure. But they're expecting you to play it because you've been playing it. And when
Yep.
you don't fill their hand with a chip, there's this connection between you and the stick that's like, what's wrong with the relationship? Why aren't you giving me the chip? Give me the chip. And
You
I've
need to
seen
go
a
to
lot of stick
counseling.
people kind of coerce the player into giving them the chip anyway, even when the player wanted to stop playing the horn. So,
Yeah.
and it still loses.
You know what the worst part is too? It's like, and you've seen it because I've seen it with you at tables and stuff where, you have somebody who's doing that, right? And like you said, they buy in for say $500, and they're down like the last 100, and boom, horn hits. What do? They parlay it, and they get lucky, and they hit it again, and they got like 600 coming back to them. They're never ever disciplined enough to take that and stop doing it or to even walk away. They always burn everything they just won and the rest of it, plus probably a couple hundred that's pulled out of their wallet again after the fact, because they're looking for that rush, that high. It's like that's what they want, right? That's what feeds their entire session. They could care less if you had a 40 roller. They don't care. Why? If you had a 2 roller, or 2 rollers not going to have back to backs, but let's say a 4 roller with back to back horns in there, they're so happy. Nobody else
Oh
at the
yeah.
table made money, but they're the ones who are like, man, I love this guy. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, screw you. I just lost a shit ton of money.
But what do they do after they hit the ATS? So they're up, right? And what do people do with stupid money? They start throwing it away in the horn section. They're like $100 midnight. Like it just took you 2 hours to get where you got. And now you're going to throw away $100 chip just cause that doesn't make any sense, but they do it anyway. And I don't know. Have I been privy to, or not privy? Have I been stupid enough to play with stupid money? Sure. But I'll do that on the hot bets.
I think we've
uh,
all done it though, right? We've
I'm
all
sure we've all
played
done it, but
stupid with stupid money. You get that
we've learned.
ATS win. Yeah, you get that, fire bet win, whatever it may be. Or who knows, maybe, we're sitting there and, we have a world bet starting at, $10 and magically it's up to a $50 world bet, brought back a couple hundred to the rack. Are you more inclined to do something stupid then? Sure. But it's the same thing with the people, who hit those back-to-back horns. They get a lot of money, right? The saying easy come, easy go, like that's what it is. That money came easily to you, even though you had to work for, like you said, maybe an hour, 2 hours to get that money, right? They don't view it like that because for them, right, it's that rush, it's that high, it's every roll, and that's what they want. And if it comes, oh, well, it's going to happen again. Or, no, let me try to really take advantage of this. And then you see them start increasing their bets, right? They may have had, let's say, maybe we're playing nickels and then you see quarters flying. Or they're playing at the quarter level, you start seeing black chips start flying. And you're like, well, this is a very, very slippery slope that you're going to go down. And it's like going down a black diamond or a double black diamond on skis backwards, and you don't know how to ski.
Yeah. Well, we've played it strategically at times, which is, I think,
Mm-hmm.
how we do play it now. So if you, and sometimes, you have an excess, let's say you're doing box bets and when you get returned your money from the payout, it's got a lot of ones in it. You're like, okay, let me do a $4 horn. You do a $4 horn, it hits. All right. Now I'm going to do $8 horn, hits. Well, now I'm going to start going exponentially. I'm going to go 16, 32, and I'm going to ride it out. But that's more strategic. That's not playing stupid. I think we're talking about people who, like, clearly this is a shooter who's hitting inside numbers, but your
Mm-hmm.
dumbass is not reading the table and you're just playing the horn crazy, like you're doing a $50 bet, $25 bet, nickel. You got dollars over here just because you don't even know what to do with them. You don't even have an even number of chips. You're just like, and then the dealer, the stick's got to go, what do you want? What do you want? Because they don't know what they want. They're just
Nope.
throwing out money and they're like, I just, you pick. Like, no, that's not how this works,
Yeah.
dipshit. You know, you got to tell us what you want. But you and I play this a little bit more strategically. I know you tend to play the horn more than I do. I mean the horn section. I play more of the CNE and I play the world bet. It's
Mm-hmm.
always on the come out. Now, if I have my bets up and I've brought a lot to the rack, which is rare, motherfuckers, don't judge. When I'm having a good session and I got money in the rack, yes, I'll start playing a little thing that I like to do on the CNE, which is I'll start with a nickel each, whichever one hits, I double it. So it's 10 each. And then I start going, like, I'll keep increasing it, you know, I'll go 20 on the CNE, and then if it hits, I'll go 30 on the scene. Like, I'll keep doing it as long as I can ride it out. But because, you do get some people who get into I don't want to say a rut. It's just how they throw, but they tend to throw a lot of horns together and, like, okay, I've seen 2, 3, 11, and 12 thrown 4 consecutive rolls. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, we just talked about with Jen that uh, when I played with Adam, he threw 5 horns in a row, 3 midnights in a row inside that 5 rolls. And I'm like, yeah, that shit happens. And if you're not on it, you're not going to make your money. I didn't make any money because at the time, I wasn't playing the concept of a world bet yet in my
Yeah.
journey. But, I tend to play the world bet and the C&E. But what about you? I know you play the horn, but do you play anything else regarding the horn section?
So World Bet and the Horn. World Bet is typically on my come out. You may see me toss some World Bets and some Horn Bets during the duration of a roll. I rarely ever play like a Cine or anything like that. But I'm not a subscriber to the see a horn, bet a horn mantra. Now, do they come in bunches? Sure. Do they come back to back? Sure. I do throw horn bets out there. It could be a superstitious thing. Most people are probably going to tell me it is. Like dice off the table, I'm usually throwing some kind of world bet out there or like a horn or something. I just like the world because it has a little bit of protection on that 7. It's a push. But things like that, I will. There's occasions where like if you throw 2 horns in a row, then I may go out on the horn. Usually I'm a little late, which is fine. But those are really the extent of my horns. Now, like you said, right? If I'm bringing money back to the rack off box bets and I notice like a pattern of sorts, and we've said it before, patterns are like one of the worst things for gamblers because most of the time we make up our own patterns in our head. But like if I'm playing with somebody that I know pretty well and I've seen them shoot pretty consistently, like there's certain times where you have that feeling based off of, what's happened that a horn is coming, or like how their dice are performing so you can kind of guesstimate, let's say a horn's coming soon. Then I may start betting it. Again, it's not a good way to play, in my opinion, even though I do it, right? I'm not saying that I play perfect, okay? For everybody at home who's sitting there, DJ's not on his pulpit up here telling you have to play how I play because I don't play perfectly. But there's a few guys, like there's one guy at my local who I swear every time he throws a 5, he throws a horn right after it. It's just, it's too common at this point to be like, it's just a random thing I noticed. So when I see him throw a 5, you best believe there's a horn bet coming. And I will say it has worked out for me. Now what I will say with that is I press it very similarly to how you press though on that, right? Like a lot of the people who are looking for that horn action, they're parlaying the horn a lot of the
Yeah.
time, right? They got dollar or they got, $4 horn, let's say 3 or 11 hits, that's going right to a $16 horn. Right. Me, I'm more likely to press it to, like you said, like $2, or I might make it like a $10 horn high something, right? Or a
Right.
$10 world bet even, or whatever it may be. That's what I'm more inclined to do. I rarely ever parlay my horns. It's very rare that you'll see me do that, but there's a time and a place for them. I like to use them strategically, but there are instances where I will play them out of strategy, let's say. But again, it's usually on people that I know, and I've seen them do it, or like on myself. Because I mean, you've been on the table, I throw horns, and when I throw them, I start throwing them in bunches, right?
Well,
So
and
like,
it's not just you strategically play them, but when you're playing them at times, what you're really describing is you're reading the table,
yeah,
and the table telling you something's about to happen because I've seen this pattern before,
mm-hmm,
whether it's the same shooter doing it or just the table feel tonight. Just there's been a lot of horn action. So I don't think I'm wrong in playing this strategically and throwing out a horn every once in a while because there's been enough horns rolled that one of them's going to hit,
yeah,
and maybe you just go steady. Like every single time you think about throwing it over to the horn when the puck's on is it might just be a nickel horn high something or whatever, nickel straight up. You just think something's happening. If somebody's got a small and the aces are left, you might throw a horn high ace or just aces straight. I did that.
mm-hmm,
It hit. It was awesome. But
yeah,
it was strategic based on what I was reading. Like the guy was the guy was filling up the small section pretty quickly. And all he needed was aces. And I'm like, I don't know. I got this gut feeling and quarter on aces, and he hit aces. Like that's a pretty good, damn good feeling. But that's what
Oh
you're
yeah.
describing. You're reading the table. So
Yep.
that makes
Exactly.
sense. We're talking about more of the people that just they start the game off chaotic and they continue the chaos throughout the entire shooter or the entire way around the table. And that's
Oh
just
yeah.
not the way to play because it may seem like harmless fun, but it's just draining your bankroll quickly and quietly. You don't even, like I said, you don't even know. You look down at your rack and you're like, where the fuck is my buy-in?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like none of the numbers you picked on the boxes are hitting, and you keep playing the prop section. So, and
Yep.
you keep playing the field, by the way. We're not talking about the field, but there's always a big
Yeah.
connection between the horn
Same
section
thing
and the
though.
field. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like Clay mentioned it when we had Clay on our podcast here, and I come back to this story a lot at resorts where Clay and I had two really good back-to-back rolls where we were both probably high 20s, low 30s. The guy next to us was losing money playing light side on a 30 roller. And people at home are like, well, how do you lose money playing light side on a 30 roller? Well, that's what he was doing. He was constantly betting the center action, horn bets galore. He had hops in there and other stuff, but his box bets were basically at minimum, and he might have went up like 1 unit at most. But it got to the point where his box bets weren't even paying for the center action that he was placing and for those horn bets that he's placing, right? He's throwing out quarters on the horn or like a quarter horn high yell when his eight's paying him $21.
But
And
that's
he
the thing.
kept doing that.
But that's the thing. He's playing the box bets, not even paying attention to what's happening in the boxes. So he's
No.
not pressing properly because his focus is over on the horn section.
Yeah.
He's all concentrated on the horn section and what he's going to do maybe next in the horn section. Like,
It was
dude,
parlay. That's what he did.
well, it's like, dude, like you said before, 5 6s just happened in 8 rolls, and you still have an $18 bet on your 6. What are you doing?
Feeding the
You
center. It's bad.
you clearly didn't come here to play the boxes. Maybe you should just take your boxes down if you really just wanted to play the horn section.
I mean, that's what it is, though. And like, I know some people, they'll say, "Oh, well, my box bet's covering that, right? Whatever." Like, fine, all well and good if that's how you're gonna play. The problem is, though, like you said, right? 5 6s in 8 rolls. Why the hell is your six still at $18 or $18, right? Why aren't you pressing that up? And then on top of that, right, those players are typically going to start bumping up their horn bets. They're not just throwing them out there for nickels anymore. It's turning into a, $8 horn. Now it's a $16 horn, $24 horn. Next thing you know, it's like, all right, well, whoa. Slow your roll here, bud. Now your box bets aren't paying for what you have there. You haven't pressed a single box bet. Why? Because you're not winning money. Your box bet payments are going to feed your center action. And when that center action's not hitting, it gets really expensive really quickly.
And here is our PSA on why the Iron Cross doesn't work if you don't play it 3-1.
Yeah. That field will bleed you. It's the same thing. It bleeds you.
That's all you're doing is because you're not, even if you're not paying attention to your boxes, they're barely paying for your center action. Okay, let's say you pressed it by a unit. Now they're paying for your center action, but you're only bringing $1 back to the rack.
Yep.
And you're not pressing anymore after that. All you're doing is an Iron Cross at minimum level on everything, and it's winning crap. You're winning crap if you're winning at all. So
yeah. Well, that's like I said, that's how you don't win money playing light side on a 30 roller. And I was astounded sitting there watching it, and I was hoping I'd never see it again. I've seen similar results from people before, and I don't understand it. I really don't. Like, I get that they're looking for that high and that center action hit, but you could have made so much more money just pressing your box bets. Like the center action. It's funny. I had one of my the guys I play with at my local. He used to play a lot of center action. Now he doesn't play it at all.
that's interesting. Did
And
he learn from watching you, or
I'd like to think I had a little bit of an impact on how he plays because he would be the type who would have his boxes paying for his center action, right?
Yeah.
And I will say that he always had his boxes higher than the center action. So he was always making a few dollars, right? But When you have like a 20 roller and you're only making $100 and I'm sitting here with a few hundred in the rack on a 20 roller, he's looking at me like, how'd you make so much money? Like my bets are at the same level yours are. I'm pressing the same way you're pressing. I'm like, yes, you are. But I'm not feeding that center action. You are. Right? That $30 six that just hit, that $35 is coming back to the rack, and the next one's going to 60. You are going back for a quarter's worth of center action, getting $5 back to your rack, and you're still at $30. But then next time you go to press, you're only pressing to 36 or to 42. I'm going right to 60. Then when that six hits again, I'm getting paid 70. You're getting paid 50 minus your center action. I don't have any subtractions coming off my payments. It's just straight coming to me.
But that's the thing. If they're playing at that kind of level in the center action, they're going to have to start every single roll, once a point is established at 154 inside, just so they start making money because they're replacing half of it in the prop section. And it's like,
Yep.
What are you doing? What was your plan coming in?
There wasn't one.
Like, there wasn't a plan. We all know there wasn't a plan. It's not like he said, well, I'm doing this because I just want to hit one big horn number and go home. Then what the fuck are you wasting your money up in the boxes for? Like, that's unless you're using that to literally feed your horn addiction, that doesn't make any sense. It's not logical, but you do.
Well, and then here's the problem. Like you get a PSO. And it's like, well, shit. Now you just lost your boxes plus your center action, and you got caught your pants down, basically, right? Because at least if you got a couple hits on the box, you were at least paying for it. And here's the thing, too, right? With that whole, I'm going to let my boxes pay for the center action. Your boxes are never paid for because most of those people, their boxes aren't paid for. So they could be 66 inside, 154 inside, 96 across, whatever it is. Box bets aren't paid for, and their profits are going straight to the center action. So that's the other thing that a lot of these people get caught on, is that they don't realize that when they do have their boxes there, they're never taking money back to the rack, or they're taking very small amounts back to the rack, right? Let's say you go 96 across, you're getting paid $21 on whatever hits on the inside, right? Let's just pretend an inside number hits. Boom, now you see a $20 horn go out, and you're bringing $1 back to the rack. All right, congratulations. Well, if a 7 comes, you lost $96 or $95 because you brought $1 back to the rack.
Well, here's a funny thing: if they're ones that play dealer bets, they're not bringing that $1 back to the back.
No,
back to the rack.
No, they're not.
They're doing 20 horn, and they're doing $1 for the dealers.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing that a lot of them get stuck on too, is like, even like on a roll like that. I mean, you need a long-ish roll to make money on things like that, or back-to-back horns for it to pay off, because you're never bringing enough money back to cover whatever you have out there.
And we're not saying don't play the horn. We're saying, play it strategically along with your box bets, because Chris and I do believe that you make your money in the boxes. But play it strategically if you're going to play the horn. Like, we do it on the come out. Everybody does it on the come out. It's just part of the nature of come out betting. It's a complete, if you think like Chris and I do, that the come out game is completely different. It's a different game. The come out game is a different game before that puck goes into the on position. Once that puck goes in the on position, it's a different game, and we're all about boxes. We are not about the horn unless a sequence happens that we're reading the table and the pattern is telling us, let's put a bet here. Let's see what happens. But we are not playing it, definitely not playing it every roll. Even if we're doing an iron cross, both of us have played an iron cross temporarily. It's temporary. And the only way it really does make you a little bit of money, you got to play it 3-1. So if you have a $15 bet in the field, or if you're playing the horn as a weird kind of iron cross, which isn't really an iron cross, you've got to play 3 times the bet in the boxes. It's the only way you're going to make money. Otherwise, you're just using your boxes again to feed the field, just like you're using your boxes to pay for the horn section. But we are by no means saying do not play the horn ever. We're just saying play it strategically. You'll save your bankroll and you won't bleed out so much.
100%. Craig, my favorite way when I see people play the horn? It's not really my favorite way. It actually hurts me inside. But when they use the horn to start feeding other shitty center action bets like the Hardways even.
All right. I don't know if we're gonna fight on this section, but I don't think the hardware section is a shitty section. But I get what you're saying about using a ridiculous bet to pay for other ridiculous action. I get that
Yes.
point.
I'm actually not gonna fight you, even though I kind of came out with fighting words there. Um, I I am guilty of thoroughly enjoying the Hardways, and playing them probably more than I should. But again, strategically playing the Hardways because I don't like people playing the Hardways when they're not playing boxes or like they're only playing the horns and Hardways. Like when you're doing that, what is wrong with you?
Guilty as charged. I sometimes because if I don't know the shooter and I've never seen him roll before, I will just play the hard ways only and nothing else. It's $20. It's 5 and I'll just see what happens. And if they hit one, it pays for it, you know?
Yeah.
If they
Now,
don't, it
do
was
you
20
replace
bucks.
them? Do you keep replacing them?
No. When a random shooter and I don't know who they are, I put 20 out there and I let it ride. And because, I'm
Okay.
always constantly telling the stick person, they're like, no, I'm not, let it ride. I'm not putting it back up,
Yeah. See, that's what I have the issue with the Hardways, right? Like I don't mind people playing them, but it's the perpetual playing of the Hardway, especially when it's coming out of wins and other stuff. Now, again, I've done many things on my channel about this where like one of my favorite moves is $30 6 and 8 pays 35 goes to 60, that nickel goes to the hard way, right? Nice and clean, simple, and I guess it's coming out of my win, but I'm pressing anyway. Like that $5 coming back to my rack's not gonna make me or break me, right? But in that instance where you got somebody just throwing quarters on the hard ways and I've gone 20 rolls without hitting a hard way, and they're like, "Oh, the hard way's coming. It's coming." I haven't thrown one yet. What makes you think it's coming?
Yeah. I mean, it it's the gym membership of craps bets. It's like the subscription you pay for. You don't really want to pay for it, but you do. But I'll be honest, when I'm practicing, I hardly ever even put a bet in the hard way section. I'm when I'm playing boxes and I'm trying to work on bet progressions, I don't think about the hard ways at all. Even if I'm rolling them, I don't care. Now in the real casino, I won't play a hard way section until I've seen a hard way rolled. It's just
Okay.
me. It's just how I play. A lot of people start up front, and I'm like, no, I can't start up front if all I keep seeing is the guy hitting 5-3, 6-2, 8. I'm not going to play in hard way 8. I want to see it first because
Yeah.
I've been on plenty of tables where when you see it, sometimes they hit it again. Some people named Dice Degen hit a hard 6 in a row or in a
Mm-hmm.
series, and they don't tend to hit the other ones that come with the 5-1 and the 4-2. That you just keep hitting the 3-3, and you're like, that's okay by me, But
Yeah.
it's rare. I mean, I guess what's cool about the hardway section is that unlike the horn, it doesn't come down every roll.
Yeah.
It only comes down if the easy way is hit,
Correct.
which happens a lot.
It does.
We're not
It
here
does.
blowing smoke that people are replacing horns every single roll unless it's hit, but people are replacing hardway bets just as much.
Yeah. I sometimes too. I'd like to think almost the hard ways get even almost a little bit more expensive sometimes than the horn because like sometimes people on the horn after a few they're like, all right, screw this, I'm done. Right? The hard ways, a lot of people keep replenishing them, but I'm the first one to tell you I love me a hard way parlay. I really do. It's fun when it hits. And like, is it going to hit very often? No. But that last trip to Atlantic City, right? The hardways are what got me right and got me up. Right? If I wasn't
Hey, but I
playing
was with you
hardways,
at
I would have
Harris.
made half as much money.
I was with you at Harris in Vegas when you parlayed it, and it was awesome when
Yeah.
it hit.
They're
It was
fun
only
when
for
they hit.
$90 in a $90
Yeah.
win. To see you then parlay that, you didn't, but you could have.
I should have.
You should have.
Hindsight is 2020. But I mean, again, imagine we parlayed the hard 6 3 times in Atlantic City last time. I mean, shit, we would have been getting, banana chips off the table at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, the hardways, I will agree that I do like them and I play them more, let's say, than I will play the center action. But with the hardways, right, again, it's when I'm playing that, it's like a fun play almost, where my box bets are significantly higher than the hardway bet, right? Like if I have a $30 bet on the 6 or 8, like my hardway might be at $5, or I might parlay it. But you know, it's a fun little bet, and they do hit. And I'd much prefer to see people play the hardways over playing just perpetual horns and doing other bullshit like that. And people are gonna be like, well, why would you want that? The hardways got less combinations to hit. Yeah, you're right. But like Craig said, it doesn't come down unless the easy version of that rolls or a 7 rolls.
But I think we both said the same thing, is that we don't play it outright. Neither of us play it
Yep.
outright. You like to have it paid for when you play it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing the hard ways, you know automatically up front, yep, those are already paid for. They came out of those winnings on the boxes. Whereas me, I just want to see one hit first before I
Mm-hmm.
start playing them. And then I will put it out there. But again, one hit will pay for all 4 bets. That's
Correct.
what I
Yep.
like about that. It's not like one hit only pays for that one,
Yeah.
like a regular box 6 $18 box hit for 21 doesn't pay for the rest of the 66 inside. But for a hard way, if I have nickels in all of them, one hit pays for all of them. Now, I like to play things on a whim, especially horns, uh, in competition play. You
Yes.
remember I was
Especially
there
in
and
competition play.
when I was there in AC and Lou was playing, or I'm sorry, Lou was rolling, and I just out of nowhere I put quarters on all the hard ways, and Lou hit one of them. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember which one he hit. I want to say he hit a hard 6, because I thought I remember 225 coming back to the rack. That's pretty damn sweet,
Oh
because at
yeah.
that point when you bring it to the rack, you can leave them out there. They're paid for. You don't have to
Yep.
regress them. Now when he hit it, I regressed them to a nickel each, so I even took
Okay.
more back to the rack. But sometimes, again, you either get a feeling or you see a pattern brewing and it makes you play it like any other prop section. But even those are different, Chris. Earlier, we were talking about horn bets and we were talking about people who just play it chaotically every roll like it was the first one they were ever taught, which maybe that was the case. But we're talking about seeing patterns, seeing things happening, reading the table, and then sometimes you get a feeling like, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance. Because we talked about with Jen, we talked about every once in a while, it's okay to be aggressive within
Yep.
means. And you know what? Nothing was really happening on that particular roll that Lou was doing. Lou knew he wasn't shooting very well on that roll, but I threw out quarters on the hard ways and he hit the hard way, and it was amazing. And even Lou came up to me. He's like, I hit your hard way for you. I can't remember if I tipped him or not, but I want to say I did, but I'm not sure. But uh,
Yeah.
you know, he brought it up and it was a fun little camaraderie moment.
Definitely. On the hardways, right? Question for you, because I think there's gonna be a lot of different philosophies on this, and I guess I'll share mine first, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. So, with people with pressing hardways, right? Now, when you're doing the hardway parlay, obviously you're parlaying the hardway that hits. But when I start getting my hardways up in level a little bit, right? I don't press all my hardways together. I
No,
press the hardway that is hitting. However, I know there are a lot of people who will bump all their hardways up by a nickel or bump all of them up by $10 or whatever it may be and press them together. Now, I personally do not. I will press, like, let's say my hard 6 is, at a quarter, right? My hard 6 hits, the hard 6 is going up. The rest of the hardways are going to stay where they are. And then if the easy way comes, more often than not, I will go back on the hard way for a nickel. I will not go back on it if it was pressed up at a certain level. I will not replace it at the pressed up level. I'll go back for a nickel unless, again, the instance that I had where I threw, 4 or 5 hard 6s out of the 9 6s, you would have seen me, because when I did knock the 6 finally, I did go back up at a quarter. But again, I had brought back so much money off that hard 6 already that I justified it going back up at a quarter. But like when I knocked my hard 4, I didn't go back up on my hard 4 at a quarter. I went back on my hard 4 at $10 or $5.
no. I mean, I do the same. Um, I will usually, now on that roll that you had, I only started out with $2 each on the hardways because I
Mhm.
had change or whatever, and I was like, just give me $2 hardways. and um, and my pressing was odd on that roll because I came into it halfway through, and when you did hit it, I had 13. It was an odd number. I had 13 on it.
Mhm.
So, but I had it pressed up like 3 different times, and then you finally hit your final hard 6. You know, and then I had 13 on it. But yes, if I once I see a hard way rolled, I usually will put 5 around, so 20 total, and then whatever hits, I'll go to 10 on that number only. And if it hits again, I'll go to a quarter. If it hits again, I'll go to 50. If it hits
Mhm.
again, I'll go to 100, and then I'll go max 250. If I were fortunate enough to have that happen.
Yeah.
I do not go like I don't power press the hard ways.
Yeah.
I don't actually. I'm not that I'm not a fan of it. I do like to see people win it. I don't do it myself. I don't parlay my hard ways ever. I've
Uh-huh.
never been a not that I've not been a fan of it because I'm not against it. I just don't do it myself. Um, $5 and then go to 50. That depends on if I've already made a lot of money in my rack from the boxes. Like
Mhm.
everything is dependent upon what do I have in my rack from the boxes. If
Yeah.
I have a really good amount in my rack from the boxes, yes, you'll see me then parlay it. Or you'll see me do what you just said about not doing, which is if $5 a round it hits, I go $10 a round. If it hits, I go to up to a quarter a round and then 100 a round. That's if
Okay.
I have like ridiculous money at that point,
Yeah.
because the boxes are up to 210 on the 6 and 8, you know
Mhm.
or 250 on the 5 and 9. Yeah, then I'm doing like all that. But otherwise, I treat it just like we treat the box numbers, which is you attack the number. You
Yep.
don't you don't spread out. You don't play sisters. You attack the number that's hitting.
Mhm.
So I'm attacking the hard way that's hitting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. 100% with that. Yeah, like my normal pressing on hardways, if I'm at $1, it's getting parlayed, not thinking about it twice. If I'm at $5, it's either a parlay or it goes to a quarter. I may like half parlay it, right? Where like I'll go from 5 to a quarter, but I'm also bringing back money to the rack that paid for the hardway bet itself that was out there, right? But those are like the two standard-ish moves that I will make on hardways. It's either a full parlay or if I'm at $5 already, it'll go to like a quarter. And then once that it's at a quarter, I do the same thing that you're talking about, where it goes up in quarter increments, to the point where you get to 50, then 50 goes to 100, 100 goes up from there. Again, I've very rarely ever been at 100 on hardways. I think I've been at it once in my life. I've never actually hit a black chip hardway. I've had them out there, but I never hit them. But yeah, it's a fun play, but like you said, right? It's dependent on the boxes that are hitting. And if my hardway is at $50, you best believe that 6 or 8 or even that 4 or 10 is going to be at multiple black chips, right? Like if my hardway is at 50 on the 4 or the 6 or 8, my 6 or 8's probably at 210, if not 300.
We talked in another podcast about box numbers moving. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
starting off like 6 and 8 and now like 5 and 9s are hitting. If 5 and 9s are like the prevalent numbers, I'm not doing anything with the hardways.
Yep.
They're sitting at minimum bet. I'm not pressing them. Like I'm not the kind of person that presses bets that aren't hitting expecting them to hit at some point because that's just a waste of money to me.
Yeah.
Um I may start practicing what you've been doing, which is you're playing your 6s and 8s in a way that it's paying for your six, hard 8. And sometimes you'll just
Mm-hmm.
play a hard 6, hard 8, won't even put anything on the hard 4, hard 10,
Yeah.
unless you see it rolled. We all know if somebody starts a roll off establishing the pointer with a 4, you're like, okay, I'm not playing the 6 and 8 probably. I'm probably playing the outsides. I'm playing 4, 5, 9, 10, and I'm going to play the hard 4, hard 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, again, it's you have to treat it as center action. I do
Yep.
think what's interesting is that what I described as my pressing on the hard way, if you notice, matches my pressing on the world bet.
It
It
does.
it's 10, 25, 50, 100, max 250.
Yep.
Um, only in practice, obviously, have I ever gotten it to max. Um, but I never in the highest I've ever gotten a hard way or a world bet in the casino was 50. And when I got it to 50, it only hit a yo or a ace deuce. I've never hit an aces or a midnight.
Yeah. No, it never seems to happen that you hit, the big payouts when you got the big money out there on those bets, right?
Yeah, but that's the risk you're taking. I mean, you're gambling. So,
It's true.
but I think ultimately, whether it's a horn or it's a hard way, what we're telling folks is that we're strategic about it. We're not just
Yep.
randomly throwing shit out there and seeing where it lands and seeing, the stick person. Definitely, you can easily get into, if you're a beginning player, you can easily get into just that false sense of security or whatever, in that the stick person is just egging you on to play. I mean, what do you think they're calling out, the center action, when everybody starts? They're like, anybody want center action? Anybody want horns, hardways, hops, bonus bets, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then if some stick people are kind of more respectful of players, but then there are definitely stick people who snap their fingers and like put their hand out. Like, it's almost like they're expecting a tip. And it's like, no, they
Yeah.
want you to play the section. It's like, no, I don't want to play the section. Like, stop doing that. Like, you've seen me playing here for like a half hour. Have I even thrown you a bet over there? No. So knock it off. But a lot of times on the good side of it, if you've been playing like a C&E, yeah, they're there to remind you, hey, you've been playing the C&E, but you didn't do it this time. Like, did you mean to do it? Did you not mean to do it? And they'll put their hand out like, you still playing this? Or, a lot of times you'll lose a hard 10, hard 4, whatever hard way you lost. And they're like, fours down, hard 4s down, hard 10s down. And they'll look at, what's funny is they'll say it and then they'll look at you. And they're like, if I didn't say anything when you said it, why the fuck are you looking at me? Like, I didn't hear you. You're literally, I'm stick right one. Like, I didn't hear you. Like, I'm not playing it. But a lot of times,
Yeah.
just out of courtesy, I'm like, no, I'm not going back up.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
what happens when you don't go back up? It hits.
yeah. Well, is it the same as moving your box bet to another number, and then
Mm-hmm.
that previous box number you would have made 105 bucks, but no, you moved your 90 to the 4 and 10, and the 6 and 8 hit. You're like,
Yep.
every time. And it's like, what you should be doing is that if you move your bet, you should be hopping the number you just took it off of, just in case.
Just in case. Just in case. All right. Great discussion about horns, hardways. But Craig, is it time for one of our favorite discussions? The
Oh,
top
hell yeah.
five.
It's time for the top 5.
All right, time for the top five. And today's top five is the top 5 things people don't talk about on the craps layout. So, Craig, what is number 5?
There's a lot of things people don't talk about on the land because sometimes they don't want to talk about it, or sometimes it's taboo. Now, for me, number 5, the silent pressure to bet what everyone else is betting. Nobody admits it, but the table energy absolutely bullies people into putting chips on bets they don't even believe in. Peer pressure is alive and well on the felt.
Yes. Yes, it is. All right, Craig, our top 5 or our number 5s kind of align similarly anyway. So, my number 5 is most people don't talk about the fact that they aren't there to win, which kind of seems like an oxymoron. Aren't we gambling to try to win? But the way people play shows that they're really not there to win. Why? Well, it may be the peer pressure that Craig talked about. It may be those horn bets and those hardway bets that they're looking for. They want the emotional play, not the mathematical play, and the casino understands this better than you do.
I like it. Another thing people don't like to talk about, my number 4, how much money people are actually bleeding between rolls. We talked a lot about that in the horn section, but players talk about wins, heaters, and almost had it. But nobody talks about the slow drip of the bankroll erosion happening in real time. When they look down their rack, where the fuck did it go?
There you go. That is very true. That is very true. My number 4 is they don't talk about the superstition that rules their mind. Players say, I'm not superstitious. Meanwhile, they have their rituals, they have their things that they constantly do, and you would think you are very, very superstitious, but you call them on it and they're like, I'm not superstitious at all. No, it only lives rent free in my mind and controls every decision that I make.
100%. All right. My number 3, it's that emotional toll of a cold table. Everyone pretends they're fine. I'm fine. But inside, they're questioning life choices, luck, and whether the dice gods have a personal vendetta against them. The universe hates you, man.
It does. It does. My number 3 is the social hierarchy at the table, or the hierarchy that's in your mind. People hold the big betters, the heavy tippers, the loud people, the dice influencers. They rarely admit that the ego, the status on the card, the image at the table affects how they bet. Some people just want to get their bets up or play areas that they may not typically play to look a little bit more serious, gain respect from someone who could give less of a shit, and avoid appearing weak to others at the table.
You don't want to be weak sauce.
Don't want to be weak sauce.
All right, number 2, the dealer influence nobody wants to admit exists. Dealers don't control the dice, but they absolutely control the pace, the mood, and the confidence of the table. And everyone pretends they don't notice.
They act like, oh, I don't know. No, you know. All right, my number 2 is the emotional facade you put up at the table. A lot of people pretend that they're relaxed, they're fearless, they're betting like they can afford to lose everything that they have in front of them. They're just there to have fun. Most people are there chasing last week's loss, stressed about life problems, whatever it may be, forcing action because they're down. Craps table can become an emotional theater disguised as entertainment.
True. That's true. All right. My number 1 things that people don't talk about at the craps table is the unspoken rivalry between the dark side and the right side, or the light side. It's not war, but it's definitely tension. Everyone acts polite, but the second a don't player wins, you can feel the table's collective side eye. Facts.
Yes. Yes, you can. Yeah, there's a big divide there. It's like, it's like you're at war with those people for some reason. I don't know what it is. My number 1, Craig, you mentioned it. It's people do not talk about how much money they are actually losing. They like to talk about the big rolls, that one monster hit they had, the hot shooter, that one comeback story. They don't want to talk about how many times they've dipped into the wallet, how many times they've gone to the ATM, how many consecutive losing trips they've had, or how much they're down for the month or for the year. Players may celebrate a $200 hit on a bet. Meanwhile, they're down $2,000. Craps and most casino games run on selective memory.
Look, I'll admit it. I went to the ATM 3 years ago, 4 years ago now. Have not gone to the ATM since. You learn your lesson early with that one.
Oh, yeah. You learn it very, very early. Again, I've said it. It's why you don't bring a debit card to the casino. You don't do it. And again, if you have lines of credit and stuff, well, maybe you shouldn't pull an extra line of credit out from the casino, take another marker, whatever it may be. But the ATM trips are the silent killers in the casino for most people, and they don't want to admit it. And even the dipping into your wallet, like a lot of people don't realize how many times they actually dip into that wallet.
Yeah. I told you about the couple that was at the table at the local, where the guy started out with $3,000, lost it all in not even a full round of shooters, like half the shooters, and then just dipped into his wallet, picked out another $2,000, and then I told you that he lost that, and then his wife said, "All right, let's go upstairs," and he pulled out another $1,000, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And she walked away from him.
Unbelievable.
Stay
Unbelievable.
off
But
the
it
wallet,
happens.
man. Yeah.
It happens. People do it. People do it. Good top 5, Craig. And our tip of the episode is
Our tip of the episode is notice what the casino hopes you don't notice. The casino wins when you play on autopilot. Slow down, look around, and notice the little things. The pace tells you whether you're being rushed into bets you didn't even want to play. The noise nudges you toward excitement instead of discipline. And the layout traps, the loud bets, the colorful bets, the big come bet, the just a dollar bets, they are there to siphon your bankroll without you realizing it. All right, so take notice.
take notice. As a little side tip to that, stop taking notice of what other people are doing at the table and thinking you can and should do it. Right? Notice what the casino is giving you, not what other people are doing, because you don't know their financial situation. You don't know how they play. And like we said, right, it's part of that top 5 list of what people don't talk about, you don't know what they're not talking about. So don't adopt different people's ways of play. Notice, again, like Craig said, what the casino hopes you don't, which is what is going on right in front of you and only in front of you. Don't worry about what's going on with other people and other distractions at the tables. Great episode 42, Craig. This was a good one. This was a fun one. Interested to see what people think about the horns and the Hardways, but
Yeah.
they can't let us know what they think unless, one, you
They can
comment
find
down below, or you send us an email, fullofchipspodcast@gmail.com. Full-length episodes, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Short-form content, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. And don't forget the Patreon. Join down below. Craig, take us out on episode 42.
Look, the moment you start seeing the game instead of just reacting to it, you take back control. That's how you keep your decisions and your pockets full of chips.
And the